What is up, everyone of the interwebs? I am Bloodieknux, aka the Gothic Gamer, here at LV1 Gaming, back with another review here. And this is one that I've absolutely been excited for. And as you can tell, I'm kind of all marveled out right now because today I am going to be going over the review for y'all with y'all for Marvel's Midnight Suns. We want to make sure to give a big shout out to the team over at 2K and Firaxis for sending us a code and letting us get hands on with the game. And I gotta say, this is one that I was absolutely looking forward to. As someone who loves deck builders, but more than anything is a big comic book nerd here, I've absolutely been looking forward to this here. But more than anything, I love tactical games. I love things like XCOM and a lot of those strategic-based games, and having the creators of that very well-known franchise take a dabble into the superhero genre was absolutely something I was looking forward to. And I gotta say, the game had some interesting surprises for me, and I can't wait to jump into all that here with y'all for it. So, with that being said, we're gonna go ahead and get started with that review here. Now, for those who don't want to be spoiled too much here, this is your spoiler warning here on screen, so that way y'all can go ahead and skip the story bits. But with that being said, let's go ahead and get started. Now, first up, we have here with the story, and the story is actually its own original story here, set in the universe of Marvel's characters, using different eras of a lot of the characters that we know here, and different versions of them. It helps them to take a little bit of a lot of the well-known storylines and the characters that we know, but also creating something original with them here, and how they interact with each other or have very little interaction with each other. And the story starts off with, of course, Hydra doing its dastardly Hydra things, being evil as always in the background. But this time we have the notorious Dr. Faustus using the occult work of Hydra to summon the mother of demons herself, Lilith. And upon successfully summoning her, leading to an apocalyptic hell on earth prophecy starting. It's after this initial summoning that we jump to Tony and Doctor Strange looking for Johnny Blaze himself, the Ghost Rider here, to get help with trying to stop hell from coming, only to be told that it's already here and he wants nothing to do with it. During this time, they're having to fight their way back to the Sanctum Sanctorum to find out what's going on, and during that time they have to fight through many of Lilith's Lilin, as they're called here, or some of her demon underlings. During that time, they finally get back to the Sanctum to find Wanda trying to keep the wards going and put up the wards of protection on the Sanctum to make sure that Lilith is not able to intrude upon the Sanctum Sanctorum. And at that point, we actually have Captain Marvel make her grand entrance by going straight through the ceiling, because what other way would she arrive? Certainly not like a normal person. And it's here that we have another scrap real quick with some of the Hydra soldiers now acting as Lilith's personal army, only for her to arrive herself and basically give one heck of a smackdown on the team, basically telling Steven, aka Doctor Strange himself, to be silenced because his magic is not comparable to hers, telling Tony to chill out and kind of stand still, and even withstanding Captain Marvel's own powers here, being Earth's mightiest hero. The only thing that seemed to be able to stop her was the chaos magic coming from Wanda, which comes from the same dark gods that Lilith supports, which is Chthon. It's after they are able to banish, temporarily as it may be, Lilith out of the Sanctum Sanctorum, Steven comes up with an idea that the only way to be able to fight her is to gather the people who have been training to fight her, which is the Midnight Suns, a group of heroes more set with the mystical and supernatural, made to handle these kinds of issues. And more importantly, they're going to awaken the only person that's ever been able to defeat Lilith, which is her firstborn child, the Hunter. Now, this is actually where it gets interesting, is that the Hunter is the first original character in Marvel in well over time, and we get to play that character here in this own original story. And the fact is that it's actually really enjoyable because of the fact that you feel like you're a part of the universe. You get to play the Hunter your way here. You can be more lighthearted and good, or you can be more sort of and take the dark road, or you can kind of play the personality as the middle. but a lot of it all plays into how you see your own moral compass and how you wish to interact with these characters. And that all plays into a part of your growing relationship with them as you do what you need to do to stop your mother. And the story itself was absolutely captivating here, and I found it really enjoyable to be able to just enjoy the story. We've seen a lot more Marvel games coming out recently here and doing their own take or own spin on certain events within Marvel's universe. And a few of them have been their own original stories as well. And I love that because of the fact that as someone who's read many of the comics, not all of them because that's really hard nowadays, is to be able to really experience a story that's very original, unique, but also feeling like you're a part of the universe. And I think that's well done here. And the team at Firaxis did an amazing job with being able to build the story here using Marvel's license. There's so much potential with everything, and the story itself gets really, really heavy and dark, but really enjoyable, just as much as you would expect from anything comic book related. Next up, we have the visuals here. Now, with the visuals, the thing about that here is that the game looks really good. It can be very, very pretty. The visual effects can be amazing from the particles and the use of powers. Everything that you would expect out of a superhero themed game. Something to look visually appealing. And with many of the characters, you would expect to see some very cool designs and unique takes on a lot of their suits. And there is that. The only issue is that sometimes the game just doesn't look or feel as good as it can be. And what I'm saying like that is that there seems to be a lot of stiffness in some of the characters' faces and animations, as well as there's times where there's visual glitches, such as their face and mouth not syncing up with the audio that's being spoken. Either they stopping in mid-sentence but it's still going, or they're continuing talking even though the audio cuts out. It's not the best here outside of the cutscenes. The cutscenes look amazing. They look phenomenal and well done. And a lot of the animation can be really well done in those scenes. But outside of that, sometimes it can feel kind of off and not always the best. Along with that here, I noticed that there was plenty of issues with pop-in and clipping issues when I was out exploring the Abbey, which is the area that the Midnight Suns make their home when they're currently not on missions, which you do get to explore. I did notice a couple issues with that, along with issues with clipping from the characters' outfits, because they have an outfit where they wear at the Abbey, as well as their combat outfit. And there were some times where the combat outfits seem to kind of clip through or have spots where everything didn't kind of like match up properly. And along with that, there were occasions where, even though the game is said to be 60 FPS and up, optimized for next-gen consoles, I noticed there were some times where there was a lot of frame rate dips, or that the game would freeze here and have visual issues. Specifically in some of the after mission scenes, when they give you the option or the ability to make your own comic cover. Here, basically recapping the mission you just did, whether it's a main mission, a side mission, or even some of the other missions that you can do running in the background that you can send your heroes out on. Here, that can tend to be a little bit of an issue for some people, with the fact that it doesn't feel like it was fully optimized here. It's not bad, it's just not consistent enough here where it should be. The frame rate issues weren't as often, but when they happened, it was very noticeable. And that was just one of those things that can be a degradation to one's experience. Now, luckily, this isn't a game where frames matter here, such as a shooter or other things, since it is kind of turn-based and more strategic here, but it's still something that when it's noticeable and there's a significant slowdown and lag in the game, it can be sometimes frustrating here.
Not want to miss out on the fighting.
Next up, we have the audio, and the audio is where I both love the game and also had a lot of issues with the game. First off, the music in the game is phenomenal. They're great about some of the feeling of the game, even a lot of the sounds of the abilities here. Being able to just see the charge up, see the powers being utilized, and even hearing just the characters banter. That's phenomenal. Absolutely spectacular. Especially when you have a character like Spider-Man here, right? You gotta have Spider-Man. I was like, he's making quips all the time, saying his funny things, and even when you're walking around here, the characters talk to each other. That's all well done. That's phenomenal to the very best ability. And as I stated, the music sets great moods. Whether you're exploring the Abbey, each area, as you explore and kind of expand the Abbey out, it unlocks more and more areas, and each one kind of has their own music on the area as each one slowly looks a little bit different. And I love to, not to mention the music in the combat is absolutely heart-pounding, breathtaking, gets you sucked up ready for a scuffle here, and especially the music whenever they're setting up a cutscene, whenever you're in a cutscene, whether you're doing a story mission or hearing some of the scenes in between, that kind of help to expand the story as the game progresses. The issue is that there was a lot of decent, and a lot of that, as I mentioned, with the visual aspect, there was also audio issues. One of the worst parts with the audio issues that I noticed is that a couple of times when you're out exploring, especially at night, there may be rain when you're out in the Abbey. However, when you walk indoors, the rain cuts out because obviously you can't hear the rain, you're inside. But sometimes when you walk back out, the audio completely cuts out and the rain isn't sounding here. And sometimes you have to go back and forth a few times before it kind of catches back up with the audio plays. Other times I noticed that there was just some issues with the audio cutting out in the middle of combat. So you weren't hearing the fights as well as it could be outside of the occasional use of your abilities as well as the announcer. There's times when I'm watching someone punch someone in the face and it's just completely muted until you hear like a semi loud smack at the end of the combo here, and it's just like, okay, well, before I was hearing everything, now I'm hearing nothing. And it kind of makes it very muted, and it can be very... It can take you out of the moment here, and it doesn't feel as fun as it could be. And that's unfortunate, because the fact that in a game with superheroes and you're beating people up, obviously you want to hear it, and having everything muted out and having those kind of audio glitches can be very disheartening and can also really take you out of the experience. But hopefully that's something that can be fixed later on. It's not necessarily a game where audio cues are important, but it's enough where audio cues do have an impact here, or at least the audio itself can lead into one's enjoyment of the game. Now lastly, we have gameplay, and gameplay here is actually where things tend to be the most lengthy. And this is what you would expect from a game coming from Firaxis, who's known for making these tactical games and having a lot of system in those. And they were able to take a lot of what they perfected with their XCOM series and actually blending it really well with a deck builder. And by that I mean is that each character that you use on a mission, you can take 3, has their own individual decks of cards that utilize their abilities, being split up amongst 3 classes. You have attack, you have skills, and then you have your heroics. So your attack cards are the ones that you are able to freely play with no cost here, that have some effects that also help to build up your heroic points or heroism, which is how you'll be able to use your heroic abilities. Skills can be either be buff skills that can help to increase your attacks, adding special attacks, or they can allow for special abilities such as being able to draw cards that have new effects on them, or they can even be defensive skills that can either one heal you, provide you with any sort of shield or block, and a number of other possibilities. And then lastly, you have your heroic skills. Your heroic skills are your big hitters, the ones that you can definitely make the which are going to be your strongest abilities. These are the more iconic abilities. This allows you to do a lot more damage or hit a lot more people and be able to do a lot more capabilities here. And your heroic skills are absolutely dependent on everything else. So each character has a deck made up of 8 cards that can be split up amongst each of those 3 types. However, you do have a minimum that's required and a maximum of all skills, such as you can only have 4 attack cards, meaning that you can split up the other 4 between your heroics and skill abilities, and vice versa here, allowing you to mix and match to find the skills or attacks that you want along with your heroic abilities here, while still giving you the freedom to be able to mix that. Now, each character has their own deck, and whenever you go into a battle or a fight here, you do have 3 characters, giving you a total of 24 cards. That is then mixed together whenever you draw your hand. So those hands are what you'll be actually using for combat and using those cards. You have 3 plays per turn, so you would be able to only play 3 cards. However, each card, as I stated, has different abilities, such as some causing bleed, some causing taunt to grab attention and aggro, and others that include block. But there are some cards that have the status of quick, which allows you to be able to get your card play back if you use it to kill an enemy that turn or on that use. So there are minions that die in one hit, as well as there are some stronger enemies that you'll meet into that you may be able to have withered down from other attacks that you may be able to use that quick card on, get that kill, and be able to get that card play back to be able to use other cards. And it allows you to kind of mix each play to suit your needs here and be able to do a little bit of everything that you're wanting to do. Now, along with that here is that the arenas themselves are not grid-based like you would see traditionally in XCOM. No, they're actually a full open arena here that you can move around in. Now, when it comes to movement, you have 1 dedicated move per turn, unless you have cards that give you more moves, or you use any of the consumable items that you can craft to use in combat to give you more moves. The thing about that is that you have 1 dedicated move from the base to be able to move anywhere in the arena. So you'll be able to use that to actually help reposition your characters and your team to be able to get a better angle whenever you're trying to fight in combat here to get to where you feel that you want to be. Now, along with that here is that you're able to utilize the environment to your benefit. There are objects that you can throw at enemies, be able to push and slide across, to be able to have enemies bounce into each other and get knocked around, doing massive damage to a group. And there's even abilities or items that you can set off, like explosives or anything that you can use to push them into, such as electrical generators to stun them, or even objects that you can jump off of to do massive amounts of damage here. But the thing about it is that since the arena is open, it allows a lot more flexibility for you to be able to position your characters to set up big combos. Because at some point you'll be able to actually combo your enemies if you knock them back, if you push them into another hero, so being able to do more damage from having shoved them into that other person. But more than anything, since everything's open, there are abilities, or enemies may use attacks that are area of effect, or may cause explosions or other possibilities. With being open here, you can actually use your attack cards or skills to be able to act as a free movement to get them out of the way, along with being able to use that move ability and being able to kind of help reposition yourself to take advantage of the environment, as I stated. Now, outside of combat, this is actually where there's a lot to do here. While combat is definitely the big primary focus, there is a lot to do outside of that. First off, I mentioned about exploring the Abbey. The Abbey is actually the very big part of where you'll spend a majority of your time outside of missions. The Abbey itself has a lot of mysteries and secrets for you to discover, if you wish to, because you'll find a very special character that we all know here as Agatha Harkness is going to help guide you across the Abbey, trying to uncover the secrets of the Abbey itself here and learning about the history of where it comes from. This is all specifically done at night because of the fact that after a mission, there's a lot more that you're able to do under the cover of night especially when it comes to learning about the elder gods that our hunter gets their powers from. With
Fascinating.
that here, you will uncover different secrets, trials, and even different
I
puzzles
see.
that you'll be able to solve to get one extra items, as you'll find chests around here, as well
What
as
is
being able
this?
to unlock items from there, sometimes cosmetic, sometimes usable in combat, and a lot of other things here will also get closer to finding out the secrets. Of course, this is all
Curious.
entirely optional, so you don't have to do that. However, the other part of the Abbey is actually the biggest part, which is it's the base of operations for the Midnight Suns. So what that means here is that obviously there's going to be a majority of the characters that you see throughout the game all spending their time here. As we mentioned here, you're going to have the Avengers that we know: Tony Stark, Doctor Strange, Carol Danvers, aka Captain Marvel, are going to be there. But we also have the Midnight Suns themselves, made up of a lot of the characters that are more focused on the supernatural and magic. So we have characters like Magic herself, Ilyana Rasputin, from the New Mutants of the X-Men team. We also have Nico Minoru, who is one of the Runaways, most notably as their leader. We have Blade, the Daywalker himself, the vampire hunter master. And then lastly, we have Robbie Reyes, which is the newer generation and the youngest of the Spirits of Vengeance here. These characters are the Midnight Suns here, who are training under Caretaker, or Sarah, who acted as your guardian and trainer for the Hunter when they were much younger, the first time they fought Lilith 300 years in the past. Now the Abbey acts as a area where you will be able to bond with these characters, increasing your friendship levels with them, which allows you to, one, get closer and learn a little bit more about their history, as well as being able to unlock new abilities for the team as a whole. Each time you increase your friendship level with them, they unlock special abilities with them here, such as sometimes being able to add new modifiers to combo cards. Combo cards are strong abilities where two characters will do massive amounts of damage to a single enemy, and when you increase your friendship level with certain characters, that increases the modifiers that they may be able to do here and add it as a passive, as well as it also builds the overall team's level here, which
Intriguing.
does unlock new options, such as one being able to acquire new items to be able to gift to others, as well as offering new abilities. One of the earliest ones here was the fact of being able to utilize the shove ability, where you would be able to combo off of enemies, as well as when you increase your combo, it allows more cards to come for other characters here. So really being able to spend time with your team is a very big part of the game here, whether that's joining them in a hangout at night or taking them to a special spot that you found when you were out exploring. Another aspect here of the Abbey is that it's the training grounds for the team. So the biggest part is that you'll be able to actually go and train out in the yard, which you can do a daily sparring session with
The
one
legend
of
walks
the
among
Midnight
us.
Suns. When you do this training, you can sometimes increase your friendship level with them, as well as you'll also be able to get additional bonuses. Like sometimes you'll be able to get combat bonuses that will go into effect the next time they're using a mission. And as you upgrade the training yard, you'll be able to unlock further abilities, such as increasing their stats, as well as being able to help level them up. Because one thing that the game does here is that everyone's level scales based off the hunter. So if you have a character that's fallen behind, they'll
Things are
always get
likely to
scaled
get
up to
pretty
the
hectic
level and
around here,
difficulty
kiddo.
of the
Just
mission,
like the old
but they
days.
provide other ways
Take
here
some
for you to
time
catch
to
up to their
adjust
level,
while you
such as
can.
during a training session, it may be able to get either a single level increase, or it catches them up to the hunter's current level. So if you have, say, someone that you didn't really like using, but you want to start giving them more help again, but they're falling behind, and you know they're at level 6 and you're level 12, you'll be able to do a training session here with them, give them a little boost for the next fight, as well as get them all the way up to your current level.
I see.
Now, along with that too, is that there is another way that there's also ways to increase the level. Is that as you
Interesting.
upgrade the training yard, you will be able to get the threat room, which is a little bit different than the danger room that we all know here in
That
the
is
Avengers Tower.
something.
But the threat room is a space within Limbo, thanks to magic here, that you can be able to take your team and go train
Fascinating.
and practice by killing denizens of Limbo here. And this acts as a way for you to test out your builds with each individual character using their own single abilities themselves, but also a way for them to gain experience to catch them up to the levels here. So if you wanted to do that to be able to keep everyone up to the same part, you'll be able to do that as well. Now, when it comes to after combat, there's other things that could be done as well here. And one of the biggest things is that you're going to earn a lot of different items in combat that all have a specific use. The biggest one that you're going to get no matter what is gamma coils. Gamma coils act as a loot box or chest here, as you can say, as this is what's going to allow you to get new ability cards. Every time you open a gamma coil, it offers cards based on the characters that were used in that specific mission to provide you new cards for those characters. So that's actually where you're going to be getting a lot of your abilities. However, there are other aspects on ways that you can get other abilities. One of the first ones that you'll get on how you'll be able to get those other abilities is through the hero ops that you get when you unlock intel caches. Intel caches are actually ways that you can unlock special challenges which can be used to get further rewards, either additional items, additional currency, or any sort of bonuses that you can unlock only during some missions that use that intel cache. The intel also then can be used for hero ops, which are missions that you can send individual characters on outside of the main missions that may either give them a special ability, or at some point you'll be able to unlock modded abilities, which are regular cards that have a special ability or a new effect on them outside of the base cards themselves. You'll even be able to re-roll these and add mods to your own cards, so that way you can mix and match and make the most deadliest combos that you want here on some of your cards. The other thing that you'll be able to get and find in missions are artifact caches. Artifacts are rare items, typically stolen from the Sanctum Sanctorum, that Doctor Strange will be able to decrypt and learn about, which will, one, increase the research level, allowing you to get new upgrades that you'll be able to use throughout the Abbey itself, as well as also providing you items that you'll be able to give to the gods to unlock other and earn other items as well here. And as you use these researches, this also provides you with essence, which is how you'll actually upgrade your abilities. So there are attack essence, skill essence, and heroic essence. This is how you utilize and upgrade all of your ability cards, as well as also as a form of crafting, because they'll be used to craft ability cards that you already have if there's things that you want to keep or focus on. Along with that, you'll also be able to unlock upgrades that allow you to create your own combat items, which are single-use items that you can use in combat, and others. Even being able to make potions if you go out and go scavenging for items all around the Abbey. There's so much to do in this game, and there's so much interaction and story and fun parts of being able to hang out with the heroes that you know, as well as the gameplay does mix very well. And I think that's one of the biggest things that they did absolutely top notch, was that the gameplay here absolutely shines. Despite some of the other issues that you run into here, the gameplay is absolutely phenomenal. And the way that they took two different genres and two different styles and were able to really blend them together and it works is an absolute plus sign on showing just how great Firaxis is at building these types of games. Now, overall, my closing thoughts with the game is that I enjoyed everything that I got to get hands-on with here. The game is phenomenal, it's so much fun, and there's just so much here that can be enjoyed, and it absolutely should be enjoyed. Without a doubt, there is so much here for everyone who enjoys comic books and superheroes, and if you especially love tactical-based games. I was like, and as you play through, you unlock harder difficulties. So for those who want a challenge, you can always increase it up to those people who love to really push themselves with their love of the infamous Iron Man mode. Pun fully intended. But the game allows you to have so many possibilities, and it's just a testament to show that sometimes these genre mashups can be really well done. Despite the glaring issues that I ran into between the audio and visual glitches, and one very particular issue I ran into with the hero ops that nearly broke my game, and forced me to have to go back here is that the hero ops is a very big part of everything that you do here with decrypting intel caches. At one point here, the game ended up freezing and kept crashing with a video error on my console anytime I tried to open it after a mission here. I thought that maybe I wait till the next day to see if it fixes. However, the next day was a story mission, so it ended up taking 2 more days on top of being able to go back. So because of that here, I ended up losing 3 days worth of 3 in-game days worth of progress. Luckily, I had a save before I made that change here, but it was locked and crashed because of one character here. When I use a different character and use that character on something else, I had no issues. So luckily I was able to recover it. However, it was still a bit of time. And for some people, if they don't save as often as, say, me, it's possible they can lose potentially more progress or be completely locked out as a key part of the game itself, which can be very detrimental to to a player's progress as well as their enjoyment of the game here. So hopefully that's something that gets fixed with by Firaxis here soon. But as I stated, that was probably one of my biggest issues. Outside of that, the gameplay and everything else just feels great here. Hopefully they're able to fix everything, but the game has so much potential, and it's definitely something worth checking out, especially if it's something that has caught your interest or you enjoy those types of games. Now again, we want to give a big shout out to the team over at 2K and Firaxis for letting us get hands on here. And if you enjoyed the game here and enjoyed our review, make sure you hit that like button, hit subscribe, and you follow the channel here and keep up with us and all the content that we do here. But I'm Bloodieknux, and if you want, you can find my links down below, as well as you can find all of the stuff to our site in the description. Until next time, guys, I hope you'll have a wonderful time, and remember to always level up at level 1. Later.